This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself. Today we have a BOSCH dishwasher with the common E09 or E11 error, which talks about a problem with the heating element or heating function of the circulation motor. So on the more modern BOSCH dishwasher, we have to replace the circulation motor and heater because they're all built into the same part, and these parts are kind of finicky. They don't last as long as they should compared to the older BOSCH dishwashers. But to do this, we have to get the dishwasher out of the cabinet, so we have it unplugged. We're going to take out these two Phillips head screws at the top that are holding it into the cabinet, and we have to take out a few things on the bottom too. So we're going to take out the basket, and I'm going to lift up on the lower spray arm, and I'll lift up on the filter housing. You can see there's some stuff caught in that lower spray arm. We'll clean that later. So I'll lift out the filter. Now the filter just lifted straight up. You're supposed to have to turn it to the right to release it, and this one was not locked in, so it was basically sucking in a lot of dirt and debris from the dishes right into the pump, which can be a definite bad thing that can make the pump not do well and not last very long. That might be why we got this error. So we're going to go ahead and use the turkey baster to get all the water out of the sump. You could just use like some paper towels would work too. We're taking out these screws here on the bottom panel. We'll get that out of there, and then we can do some adjustment of the little feet that push the dishwasher up into the cabinet. We can take those feet and push them up into the dishwasher, which will lower the dishwasher so we can get it out of the cabinet. Once we get it out, we can get to the circulation pump pretty easily. So we're just going to pull this bottom panel out, and then we're going to adjust the feet by using a standard head screwdriver to push into these little grooves, and we're going to turn it to our right, which put the feet more up into the dishwasher, and that drops the front aspect of the dishwasher down so we can get it out of the cabinet. It also has a little black screw right in the middle of this lower panel, and that controls the back foot that helps to raise the back of the dishwasher up. So I'm going to put it into the little slot, and I need to turn this to my left to lower it. So right this way higher it or makes it go up. Going to my left is going to bring the foot up into the dishwasher, which will lower the back of the dishwasher. That's what I want to do. So you're going to go counterclockwise. And then it should come out pretty easily. This one actually had some screws that were driven in at a 45-degree angle through the plastic into the cabinet at the bottom. That's unusual. You probably would normally not run into that when you're removing a dishwasher. This one did have some screws there, so we pulled those out, and then we were able to get it out pretty easily. So I think out of all this entire procedure, probably the most time-consuming thing is just getting the dishwasher out of the cabinet so that you can get to the circulation motor / heater. So in the older models, the circulation motor was a little bit bigger, more robust, and the heating system was a little bit stronger too. And on the modern versions, they chose to use this other type that just isn't very good for longevity. So I'm going to pry down on these little pieces here to get them out away from the tile, and now I should be able to wiggle out the dishwasher and get it to where I can do the circulation motor repair. So I'm wiggling out toward me. I'm going to keep pulling it until it's all the way out, and we can go ahead and get that thing out of there. There's some soundproofing this kind of foam material. We're just going to take the one on the right side, and we're going to just lift it up out of the way so we can get to where the circulation motor is. There we go. And then we have this controller that's kind of in our way. So to get that out, we're going to reach around behind and pull this gray plug out from the controller. This is bringing the power into the dishwasher. So just kind of wiggle it out. And then we're going to use a paint scraper, or you could use a standard head screwdriver to pry up. We're going to pull this little wire cover off the top to get that out of the way. That just wiggles off. And then we'll go ahead and use that to lift up on the controller, wiggle that out, and we're going to just swing that out away, which opens up a big cavity, and now we have a straight shot right to the circulation motor. And there's 3 different wire systems hooked up to it. This black one, you're just going to push in with your finger on the release, it pulls out. Then there's a big one in the back, and that one just grab it and wiggle it and pull it to your left to get it out. And then there's one with some orange wires that we're going to go ahead and leave that one in until we get the motor out where we can see it. You can see this black thing that's up above the circulation motor. You want to just pull that thing off. And then what I'm doing is I'm just grabbing the entire circulation motor and I'm pulling toward me, and I'm kind of tilting to the right to get it to come loose of that white hose. Now we got it out, and now we're going to remove those orange wires. To do that, you could use a really small standard head screwdriver, or I'm using a pick tool to just get in at the top part between the black plastic and the white plastic, and I'll just use that to give me a little leverage to get that orange wire out. So again, you could use a small screwdriver, would work really good too. Just something that would give you some leverage, and you can get that orange wire out. And now I can pull the pump out and take a look. When I inspected it though, it was kind of disconcerting because I found a lot of debris had been sucked into the impeller. And the impeller vanes, they spin and they create a lot of water pressure, but these vanes were full of crud, so that's probably why the pump ended up with that error. We were getting the E11 error, which means the thermistor was having trouble. That's the thing that tells how the temperature is. So we have a brand new pump, but it could be that just cleaning all this debris out and then putting the old pump back in may be enough for the dishwasher to actually work really well. Look at all that junk that came out. So that's just because the filter was not locked and stuff was able to be sucked right into the impeller. So now I have a very small screwdriver. This one's actually got a really long blade on it, and I'm just tightening up this little clamp that came with the new circulation motor. And I'll reach in now and I'll grab the old clamp and just pull it right off. And you could actually go to the hardware store and get a hose clamp that has a bigger type of a screw, because the one they send you works, but you have to have this kind of small, really tiny small screwdriver to make it work. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit so that I can push it up onto the big white hose back there, and I just want it to stay there by friction. I don't want it to be super tight, but I just want it to be tight enough where it's going to stay up there. You could theoretically also tape it into position too, but you want to get it up onto that white hose, and there's really not enough room to put in 2 arms to hold it. So we're just going to use friction to keep it up into position, and then we can go ahead and put the new circulation motor in. I'm going to coat the inside here with a little water, or you could use some dishwasher liquid to make it more slippery, like a lubricant. And I'll put a little bit also on the outside of this gray plastic. This is going to make it easier to get this to go in. Now I'm going to put that gray plastic up into that white hose. First I'll go ahead and put on that bigger wire connector. That one you just push on with your thumb. I'm sorry, that was the smaller orange one. Now I'll put on the bigger one. Same thing, I'll just push it on with my thumb, make sure it's secure. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and feed that into that white hose. And once I get it in the hose, I'm going to wiggle the bottom of it away from me, in toward the dishwasher as far as I can. That'll seat the bigger hole of the circulation motor. And then I'll go ahead and tighten up that clamp using a small screwdriver. I have the black rubber piece there at the top of the circulation motor holding it up. And I went ahead and put in the black wire assembly and got that in with my thumb. So we're almost done. I'm going to go ahead and test this with the controller out by plugging it back in, putting the power in, and turning on plugging it in, turning on the water, and then I'm going to turn on the dishwasher and just watch to make sure there's no leaks before I put the controller back in. Because with the controller in position, I can't really see very well. I just want to make sure that the circulation motor is in there nice and tight and there's not going to be any leaking. So I have the controller out, open it up. I'll go ahead and clean out some of the junk that's in the sump. That's just because that filter was not locked into position. Whenever you put the filter in, you have to turn it to your left until the two black arrows line up. And that wasn't done, so the dishwasher was sucking terrible things from the dirty dishes directly into the impeller vanes of the circulation pump, and that's probably what killed the pump. Because this is only 4 years into the service life of the dishwasher, and we should be getting at least 10 years. So I'm going to put that arm back in, put the lower basket back in. We're going to go ahead and turn it on and just let it drain first, and then we'll hear the circulation motor kick in, and then we'll hear it water come in, and then we'll hear the circulation motor kick in a second time. So we're going to put the upper spray arm back in and twist it to lock it into position. It's all set. And now we can basically just start a cycle like we normally would. I noticed though that it was giving me a funny display. I think it was like 1 HR, which is not the correct thing we should see in the beginning. So just by pressing cancel, I was able to get it to go back to normal. You have to hold cancel for about 3 seconds. It says H01, which I think is talking about the programming, because I disconnected the controller. So I pressed cancel. I ended up getting the regular display. Press start. And now you can hear the relays clicking inside the controller. We hear it drain, and then eventually we're able to hear the water valve open and water comes in. And then after that, I was able to hear the circulation motor kick in. And I looked carefully, but I had no leaks. So that means I got the hose, that white hose on there tight, and I was able to push the circulation motor in strong at the bottom, so it was able to seal that bigger hose, or the bigger opening of the circulation motor, into the sump. So everything's nice and secure and tight. And I know the circulation pump's working because I can hear the water sloshing around. And this should work really good now, especially the customer knows how to lock in the dishwasher, so it shouldn't get any more stuff sucked into the impeller. I think that just makes it really hard for the impeller to turn fast enough, and that may have been why there was probably an overheating problem that burned out the thermistor. So it looks good. We'll go ahead and put the controller back in and get it plugged back in and put back into the cabinet. And we're back to normal. So I'm doing this procedure fairly often on these new BOSCH dishwashers. And I think it mostly has to do just with a poorer quality circulation motor and heater than they used to use. I noticed the drain was kind of slow, so I took off this air gap by prying up on these two little tabs, and I opened it up and found there was a chicken bone in there. So I'm pulling off the power connector on the controller. I'm going to push the controller in at a slight downward angle, and then I'll push it down on the left portion to where it locks in. You'll feel it click into place, and then I can push this gray power connector back in here on the back, as far in as it will go. All right. Put this little wire protector back on top. Goes this way. And another one of those things where you wiggle and push down. It should lock in. And then we can go ahead and drape the foam soundproofing back in over on the side. And we can push the dishwasher back into the cabinet. Kind of look back there before we push it in, make sure that all the wires and hoses are going to go in there without getting kinked. All right. Thanks so much for watching our video. We really appreciate you coming to our channel. Please subscribe when you get a chance by pressing the subscribe button and also the bell button so we can send you notifications of any new videos that come along. And we have a new thing here called the applaud button. If you really liked the video, if it was helpful to you, if you can click that, we really appreciate that. It shows your interest in our channel and your support, and can't thank you enough. Feel free to contact me at the email listed below, which is scottthefixitguy@yahoo.com, with any of your questions. And also, if you need to have a FaceTime meeting with me or a Zoom meeting, you can click on one of the links below in the description, and we can set up a 15-minute or 30-minute video conference where we can work on your appliance problem. So thanks again for all your support and for watching the video.